Welcome to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. In this episode, Kevin and Sean unlock the secrets to building a powerful, budget-friendly tech stack that every modern salesperson needs to thrive. From selecting the right CRM to integrating tools like AI assistants and expense trackers, they'll show you how to streamline your workflow and stay ahead of the competition. Learn why connecting your tools is the key to better deals, and discover how to never lose touch with your prospects again. Stay tuned. This episode is packed with actionable advice to take your sales game to the next level.
Sean and I have the luxury of experience, and that means that we get to talk from a point of view that suggests that we've been where you are. So salespeople, today this is about you. Sean and I were collaborating on how can we really add value to somebody who is having to provide their own technology footprint, their own tech stack. And so we said, well, what would we do if we woke up in your shoes and had to apply a tech stack to our sales efforts? What are the tools we would specifically select to connect our sales world if our company wasn't providing them for us? So today, this one's for you. Listen up. If you're driving, just know that you need to go home and write this list down and test these tools if you don't have them already. If you're sitting at a desk, grab a pen and paper, grab your notebook, grab your notes section of your telephone and open a new note, because we're going to talk about a salesperson's tech stack for selling in a modern sales environment.
Well, I think that was a great opening, especially since you were talking about all the ways that you could take a note. And, and we were kind of listing out our tech stack, Kevin, we actually didn't talk about taking notes. So let's assume that if you're not taking notes on pieces of paper, and that's your choice of how you want to take a note, you might want to look at tools like Evernote and OneNote. Both of them are relatively inexpensive. OneNote may come with a subscription that you might already have, but you don't have to take notes on those. You can take notes if you use a Mac, or if you're kind of in the Apple universe, you can take notes in the application called Notes. It's a great little application. It's really good for taking notes. It's always handy. You can actually have it set up so it's one click away at any given time. You can also take notes on sticky notes, which is on your computer. There's sticky notes applications on both Windows as well as on a Mac. So that's one tech tool right now to start with. Is think about how do you take notes and how do you make sure that your notes are available to you everywhere. What I wanted to talk about was the fact that I'm a technology guy, and Kevin, you're a technology guy as well. We kind of grew up a little bit in the technology world. Technology happened as our career was happening, and so we were constantly doing it. It was not unusual for me as an individual salesperson back when I was one to not have a great set of support people to help me out. I was almost always remote when I was a salesperson. My IT support people were half a continent away. I lived in Cincinnati, Ohio. So my IT support people always seemed to be close to an ocean, either the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean, sometimes the Gulf of Mexico. And so they were never easily available. So figuring out how to use technology to help me was just a fact of life. That's what I had to do. So I'm excited to do this. I'm going to start off with saying we're assuming that your employer has given you a CRM. And if they haven't, I'm going to give you a couple ideas. The first thing I want to tell you to do is don't count Outlook or Gmail or Outlook calendars or spreadsheets. Those are not CRMs, and please don't use them as such. You're just going to get in trouble. You're not going to be as efficient as you possibly can, and you're not going to be able to relate multiple people together at the same company in an effective way to really keep track of what you want to do. So if you're a salesperson, you can go out and license for $30 a month, $45 a month, $60 a month, a really, really good CRM system. But I'm not going to tell you which one. Instead, I'm going to tell you, don't spend any money. At the last time I checked, HubSpot for an individual salesperson was free. Now, HubSpot's not my favorite CRM. Lots of people know that, but it's better than just Outlook by itself. It's better than just Gmail by itself and Google Contacts and Outlook Contacts. Don't use those. Go get HubSpot. It's free for an individual user. I'm pretty sure the last time I checked that Insightly INSIGHTLY, is also free for 1 or 2 users. Go sign up for one of those. There's probably half a dozen other free ones that are out there. You can probably do a Google search and figure that out. But go get a CRM system if your employer has not given you a CRM system.
And now we want to take you down the path of, what do I do with that CRM system? So number one, I want you to first, if you're writing this down or you're taking a note, at the very top of this, write, integrate everything. All of your tools should talk to each other. And most of that in your CRM, you'll find under the marketplace and free tools. Now, this is fun because Sean and I get to talk about, we build these kinds of tools for people every day for a living. Sean and I have some customers who want to start with the freemium version. So we talk about things like Expensify as opposed to a pay for a license kind of seat. We talk about things like KnowledgeNet, which is a tool you've heard us talk about on past podcasts. It does carry a price, but it is super involved and engaging and will connect to HubSpot or Pipedrive or Salesforce. A lot of the value you will receive as a seller is based on how your systems work together. So in Sean's talk earlier about taking notes, I'm going to give you a page from my notebook. I use the Notes app that comes standard with the operating systems, and I've used it in Android and in Apple products. But the voice to text works really well for me capturing notes. When I do voice to text, once I'm done, I can email it to myself, and that could be a customer note or the start of a blog post or any of the things that I need to do to run my business. But if you have HubSpot, there's a free HubSpot app, and you can do voice to text notes for your call reporting and your task management. So when your email is integrated and you have something else like a free Chat GPT or equivalent, Sean and I were debating some things we liked earlier. I like Claude and I like Perplexity, and we talked about Chat GPT and some others. Those kinds of writing apps can help you also take your idea and refine it. It can also help you do research on your prospects, add those research notes to your CRM to be a more effective seller. All of this tends to wrap around the idea of, how do we become better sellers? If we've got to build a system, here's a roadmap for you. So already we've talked about using your email, but not making it a CRM, connecting it to a CRM, connecting all of those technology pieces to something like a Zapier to get outside Expensify type tools also in your CRM. Sean, you use an interesting one for capturing mileage.
Yeah, I use MileIQ for doing that. And so I think, Kevin, you use part of QuickBooks because you run your own company. And so you have QuickBooks to run the company, and it comes with QuickBooks. But individual salespeople probably don't use QuickBooks for business. You might use QuickBooks to manage your personal finances, and that's fine. But if you don't have QuickBooks, I really like MileIQ. I set it up, and it tracks every time my car leaves the driveway. I'm getting a report. It's keeping track. Is this a personal trip? Is this a business trip? I never lose track of that stuff. It gives me a great capability to do all the, where did you go? Here's the map. How did you get there? All that stuff is in there. It also reminds you, and this was a really cool idea, it reminds you on the first of the year to put your odometer reading into the app, because at the first of the year, you need to prove, potentially, if you ever get audited, how many miles that you actually drove one way or another. And this is a great way to do it. Just you have to remember that the first of the year, you're going to write down your miles. You can do it right in MileIQ, because MileIQ is going to prompt you for doing it the first time you drive out of your driveway on January 1st. For me, I'm watching football on January 1st. I'm not driving anywhere. So another one I like to use that's free. So MileIQ, I think, has a small, like a $30 per year kind of a cost to it. But one I like to use that's free for at least a certain number of expenses is Expensify. So Expensify, I think, and you'll have to look up what their current rates are, but I think for 25 expense receipts per month, it's free. So you can scan the picture of your receipt, and it will do a great job of figuring out what the amount was, what the tip amount was, all that stuff. You can then create a file that you can easily download, potentially put that right into your expense report system of your company if they have one. You can suck it all in and just make expenses a little bit easier to do. If nothing else, it gives you a great print that you can do from the web. You can print out all your receipts, and that way you don't have to scan your receipts. You don't have to take pictures of them. It's already got all those pictures already built in, and you can attach it to your expense report. So at a minimum, it at least does that, so you don't have the 50 pieces of paper that you have to manage at the end of the month. So it's another great tool.
So let's pivot the conversation. We got about 5 minutes left here, just under 5 minutes. Let's talk about the why and what does a salesperson get out of it? Because we really didn't set up, what does the finish line look like? So if I'm a sales rep and I'm thinking, okay, I may have a CRM, I may have one or two of these tools or a prospecting tool like Apollo or KnowledgeNet or something like that. But what does all this data capture and CRM use get me? And I have this conversation a lot with salespeople who are new to CRM. I encounter a lot of people using a CRM as kind of a Rolodex, which is really kind of making it behave like Outlook or your mail client. So if you're one of those people, I want you to lean into this and not dismiss me for saying, hey, I've got a CRM and I don't like using it. Here's where the rubber meets the road for a salesperson. When you use a CRM as your one source of the truth, if your emails come in and out of there and they're tagged to deals and their tasks are tagged to contacts and meetings are scheduled through there, at the end of that how much effort it took you as a seller to close a deal. Oftentimes when Sean and I meet companies, we can say, about how long is your sales cycle? How many touches does it typically take for you? How many meetings, emails, activities does it take for you to close a deal? And it's rare that we get a very solid, provable number. But when we add it into the CRM, there's this light bulb that happens. You say, oh, I'm starting to see patterns where deals are going against me. They're going negatively. And you can either turn them because you can predict that it's starting to go bad, or you can let them go because you realize it's a bad fit for your ideal client profile. You're not matching the deals pressing them up against your ideal client and being able to say, hey, this doesn't look like a good deal for me. Whereas people living in their Outlook box don't really know the signs as much. They don't necessarily think as much about, is this a good deal for me to chase? How many hours have I dedicated to scope and discovery and proof of concept and price negotiations? Or how long has it been since somebody has responded to a message from the buying group? Sean, what are some other good ways as we approach the 15-minute mark here?
So I'm going to build off of that last thing you just said. How long has it been since I touched that person, right? So one of my favorite things about a CRM system is it keeps track of when I have been a bad person. It doesn't allow me to forget that, I haven't talked to Jerry in 4 months. And I have a rule, it's advice that I give to salespeople. And that is, if you haven't talked to somebody in 3 months, they've forgotten that you exist. And that's obviously not 100% true, but you're definitely not top of mind. If you haven't talked to somebody in 3 months, you are not top of mind. They might not even be top of mind if you haven't talked to somebody in 2 months. So in most CRMs, definitely in HubSpot, definitely in Insightly, most CRMs have the ability to say, when's the last time that you had a conversation with this person? Because remember, you integrated your Outlook calendar or your Gmail calendar into that CRM system as well. So it became very easy to run a report or just get a pop-up display that says, the last time I talked to Jerry was 4 months ago and 3 days. And during that meeting, we talked about this. Just remind me, because I don't remember what I did 4 months ago. And that's really, really powerful because there is nothing better than saying, hey, Jerry, we haven't talked in a while. Can we catch up? And almost always that person will respond. If you just say, hey, I'd like to catch up with you. I'd like to talk to you again. We haven't talked in a while. And Kevin, why don't you talk a little bit?
Well, I think it's really important because you and I love CRMs and we talk a lot about them, but where we tie all this together is when we take a Chat GPT or some other writing tool that helps us write more effectively, we can do that I, me, my test on any message we write. How often do we does the word I, me, or my show up in an email that we're writing to someone when we're trying to sell them? We should be talking about them more than we're talking about us. So when we're writing that reconnect email, which is really valuable, I love the use of reports to prompt you to take action. So when you're writing that follow-up activity, that get back in touch component, make sure that you're writing well. I am prone to making spelling mistakes. Grammarly helps me not make spelling mistakes as much. And some of the other writing editors can be an extreme value for you as a salesperson when you're having to aggregate all these messages and compose them. So lean into the tools that are available. We've tried to give you a lot of free and some with a low premium here today. So with that, we hope you are able to take that and turn it into part of your success journey. And with that, we're right at or a little bit over 15 minutes. So on that note, happy selling.
What a great episode, Sean and Kevin. Today, we learned just how critical it is to integrate your tools to create a seamless sales process. By ensuring that your email, CRM, and even AI tools like ChatGPT work together, you can save time, stay organized, and focus on what matters most, building relationships and closing deals. Integration isn't just a convenience, it's the backbone of an efficient modern sales strategy. And let's not forget the significant actionable item from today's episode, building your personalized integrated tech stack. Whether it's starting with a free CRM like HubSpot or Insightly, or adding tools like MileIQ and Expensify for tracking mileage and expenses, these small changes can make a big difference in your daily workflow. Don't wait. Take the first step to set up your tech stack today. The sooner you start, the sooner you'll reap the benefits in productivity and sales success. If you need help with sales management, or growing your company, don't hesitate to reach out to Sean or Kevin. Contact information is available in the show notes. And while you're there, take our quick 10-question assessment to see how your company or sales team measures up. It's a great way to identify opportunities for improvement and take your business to the next level. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode packed with valuable insights. Until next Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, happy selling!